Hey, what is up, you guys? It's
Hey!
God damn it, Mac. Hey, what is up, you guys? It's the Zombie Slayer back again, bringing you another live stream. I know it's been a while, and I know I said I would stream every day this week, but I'm an idiot and forgot that plans were a thing. So, yeah, here it is, and we're gonna do an extra long one tonight if they're okay with it, because
Yeah, sure.
spring break.
Unless my mom pesters me. And then
Yeah, well, I said this was going to be Spring Break Spooktacular, so you know what? We'll do crappy pastas like usual, but we'll also do creepy pastas. Now, I'm doing something a bit different this time. If you guys would like to see, not you two, because you two have already seen, but the viewers, if the viewers would like to see, here it is.
This is a bad idea.
Candlelight. So, you can't see anything behind me. I can't see anything behind me, actually. So that's going to be horrifying when we get to the actual scary stories. Except for this, like, one little light above me. Which...
Oh, you know what? You can't see his hair. It might be better.
Fuck you. See my hair. Love my hair.
Make it more seeable.
No, okay. So, here we go. Fuck. Collecting thoughts. Okay.
Breathe.
Yes, breathing. We're good.
Breathing.
Okay. So what we're going to do is the same thing we always do. We're going to start out by joking the shit out of some crappy pastas. So, Elf, you are new to this stream. So, actually, I'm an idiot and forgot to introduce you two. I am joined here with Mad Mac.
They
my
know
co-host.
who I am. They know who
Yeah,
I am.
I know. We're here with Mad Mac, my co-host, and of course, Elf Queen.
Hello.
My friend.
Pretty sure they know who she is too. Because
Yeah, you viewers should kind of know who I am because I've guest starred on live streams before.
Yes, but it's been fucking forever. So
Yeah.
It's
This is
been
Elf
forever
Queen.
since you showed up, and you're not betting on them forgetting about you. So
Well, that's because it's my channel.
that doesn't.
I can't expect them to remember everybody who I have on my channel. Like you and me, I'm pretty sure they'll remember, but Elf is not always here. So
Yeah, I'm not always here, and yeah, lots of things.
Okay, so now that we're done arguing about who remembers who, let's go ahead and jump right in. Since you are the guest star on this stream, pretty much, Elf, would you like to do the honors of going first?
Sure. I'm starting out with a pasta. It's labeled as an undercooked pasta. So it's not necessarily entirely crappy, but called A Loving Husband. Hi, my name's Travis. I haven't met you yet. Or have I? Oh yeah, remember me? I'm your childhood friend. I believe we have some catching up to do. Well, now I'm 23. I'm married to my high school sweetheart. What else? Also, I killed all of the people that got in the way of our love. I hid them in an abandoned cemetery. Ironic, eh? Anyways, you won't get in the way of our way out of love, will you? Heh. The look on your face right now, you don't know what to say. Don't say you won't if you don't mean it, because I can tell. But if you say you will, I'll put you like the others. Oh, you won't? Great! So you can become part of our out family. What? You don't want to be part of our family? Then must mean you're in our way. You know what I do to people like that. What's that? How can you be with us, but not in the family? That's not possible. You're just lying to keep from dying. Why don't you want to die? You'll only end up like all the others. Not too bad. I'll just stand here, waiting for you to make a mistake. Eventually, you'll fall asleep. That's when I do it. I'll capture you and take you to the cemetery tie you up against a tombstone that reminds me of you. You'll be awake by then. This is when it gets fun. I'll cut your eyelids out with my pocket knife. Then you'll have to watch yourself suffering and watching yourself die. I'll cut a little piece of you off at a time. First your tongue, all the way to your toes, one by one. You'll be dead by then, most likely from bleeding to death, maybe even drowning in your own blood. That is, if you refuse to drink it when I pour it down your throat. By then I'll bury you. Nobody will ever know what happened. Huh? Why am I telling you my plan? Ha! That's because you can't do anything about it. Why, you may ask? Because this has already happened. Yet I'm the one that has the scars. You're untouched. How can this be? How could you do this to me? Travis? And scene.
Well then. That one. I get why it's called undercooked pasta. It literally sounds like they forgot to finish it.
Yeah, that was good.
It didn't end. Well, I mean, it wasn't really my cup of tea, but it just didn't sound like it ended.
Yeah.
As for the people in the chat who are saying they're gonna vacuum my hair, I really appreciate that, best friend who is currently watching my video, who I'm not going to name. Yes, I am. What's up, Fireball Underpants?
Oh, that is...
Maybe they shouldn't do that if they have Fireball Underpants. I feel like they'd burn down the whole fucking house.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, you want to heckle us? We'll heckle you right back. Anyway, just keep that in mind.
Heckle!
So...
yeah, up until this point, I did not have the stream pulled up to watch the chat.
Me neither.
Yeah. Hey, Mac, would you like to go next? You should go next.
Oh, boy. All right. So, this one has a goddamn magnificent title. Mario says the fuck word. Based on the one... Oni plays? I don't know. I don't watch him. All right. Let's set the scene. All right. One day I was playing Super Mario 64, going about my usual business in the Dire Docks, when Mario suddenly turned his head towards the camera at a 47-degree angle, staring right at me, and said, "Fuck!" I said, "Did Mario just say a swear?" My mom burst into the room holding the Mario manual and shouted at me, "Are you swearing in here?" I said, "No, Mom, it was Mario." But she didn't believe me. She grabbed me by the hair and tossed me into the bathroom. I went, "Oof!" She washed my mouth out with a bar of soap and then spun me around and tossed me back into my bedroom while she shouted, "So long, Bowser! If I hear you swearing in here again, you're going to be in big trouble, mister," she said as she slammed the door shut. Later that night, I decided to go back to the old Dire Docks for further inspection. This time, Mario turned his head at a 22-degree angle towards the camera and said, "I can't." My mom burst through the door and belted me across the face with the Mario manual. "I warned you about your potty mouth," she yelled at me. "No, Mom," I said. "It wasn't me. It was Mario." But she didn't believe me and did the ground pound on me. She washed out my mouth with that yucky-tasting soap and tossed me out the window like King Babam. I shouted, "Whoa!" and hit the ground outside, bleeding hyper-realistically. She shouted out the window at me, "If I ever hear you cursing like that again, like that no good Wario, you're really gonna get it, young man. Now go to bed." And so I did. I tried to prove it wasn't me saying the swears, but no matter how much I played through the Dire Docks level again, Mario never did another swear. The end.
Okay.
Absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely wonderful.
Okay, I think my favorite part of the whole thing is it's so specific about the angle, because yes, I can tell exactly what any angle is. And
it's his superpower, don't you know? That's what makes it creepy. He knows exactly what the angle is.
47
really
degrees,
the bad guy
22 degrees.
Exactly, not a hair off.
Yeah, exactly 22 degrees. Like, I was surprised there weren't more decimal places. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe he just fucking did some trigonometry on that shit. I don't know.
Apparently, he must have. He must have paused the game before his mother came in, did some trigonometry to figure out the angle, and then his mother burst in like, ah!
Are you doing trigonometry in here? I warned you about the devil's mathematics.
Devil's mathematics.
Seriously, fuck that shit.
Seriously, I can't tell if that was ironic or not. Yes, it was ironic. It's a crappy pasta.
Oh my god, you fucking...
It's a crappy pasta. Anyway.
Weren't you paying attention?
All right, let's go. Time for my first story of the night.
Doo-doo-doo.
All right, everyone. Mute your microphones. Get in, cuddle into bed, and get ready for the dream. Russell, Russell. Did you guys hear that? You ask your best friend and his family one night at a camping trip. Hear what? Said Leslie. I swear I heard the bushes rustle behind me. You're crazy. We didn't hear anything. I'm gonna go check it out, he responded in a worried voice. You get up from your chair and walk toward the bushes away from the campfire. Hey, be careful. Slender Man might get ya, said Eddie, trying to mock you. Yeah, whatever, you said, trying not to sound scared. You get to the bushes only to see that there's nothing behind it. What the... You start to walk back, but you don't see anyone. Hello? Where'd you guys go? Suddenly you remember. Wait. I just remembered. Didn't I fall asleep? I don't remember waking up. You get worried. So I guess I'm dreaming, huh? Like a lucid dream? But why am I scared? Am I having a nightmare? Oh well. I can't really get hurt in a dream. Suddenly you hear the rustling again. You turn back to see a large figure emerging from the bushes, getting taller and taller, eventually as tall as the trees. Holy shit, what the fuck is that? You run away from the entity. Fuck, it's only a dream, it's only a dream. You trip over a rock and break your ankle. Ah, fuck! Oh, shit! Fuck! Then you realize... pain? So that's the end of that one.
Okay.
That was literally called The Dream. I
never would have fucking guessed.
Shut up. Okay,
No.
So let's see what the lazy writing you didn't even try at all. I thought that could have had potential to be a good pasta, but it wasn't.
Yeah. Oh, small comment to you. Like, as you were moving, I can see these two spots kind of like above your head a little bit.
Don't be freaking me out.
It's kind of illuminated by your single light, but at one point they were kind of like flickering. Like,
Wait, say something for a second. Pop it back up.
Boom.
Oh my god, they're flickering. Run. Get out.
Shut the fuck. Okay.
No, seriously, there's something back there.
Okay, that's fucking scary though. You want to know what that is? That's my fan. It turned on. Okay, now, okay.
What the fuck?
This is not okay. Hold on.
Okay, no, this actually got fucking creepy. What's this
Yeah,
shit?
no, hold up. That, okay. Ah. Okay, I'll be right back.
Just turn it off. Okay.
is it getting the salt?
I just noticed. I was like, "Holy shit!"
That's not okay. This is not okay.
No, it's not. Oh, no, it's
I
perfect.
figured
It's
I should
perfect. Now we
mention
have
it
some
to you.
fucking drama.
I figured I should mention it, and I mean, I saw it as you were reading, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, thank you. No, because it was off, not moving, and then it's
Just breathe.
Someone snuck
Maybe
into
I
your
should
room
not
and
read the ritual pasta that I had planned.
no.
next.
We're doing this. We
do
are
it.
doing this.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Added creep factor. Let's go. You have a haunted place now.
I'm used to this sort of shit. as most of the people who are watching me right now know, I'm used to this sort of shit.
Well,
I'm
I
just
know.
saying that wasn't okay.
Oh, Claire says, "Oh no, not the spoopy things."
Oh yeah, I know.
Yes,
Okay.
the spoopy things, Claire.
Spoopy
skeletons.
Okay, so
You know this house is
It's-
shit. You know that. Wait, was that redundant? Yes, it was, Evan. Anyway.
So it is my turn in the rotation again.
Yes, it is. And I shall.
And this
turn
one
off.
is another undercooked pasta, technically, as it says. And from what I've skimmed, it's like a ritual pasta thing called "Give a Little, Take a Little." Do you have something you want? Something you wish for, but simply cannot find or are too embarrassed to go out and get? Or something that's simply illegal to acquire in your country? There is a website
illegal, you know.
titled "Give a Little, Take a Little," located somewhere within the depths of the internet that can help you, friend. But there's no real, easily accessible link to it. You must find it on your own. It's well worth it, though. Most of who have visited it say they found it on what's called the deep web, the unindexed part of the internet, but there have been reports of it being found on popular websites and forums. If you want to attempt to visit the website, you're going to have to know of its existence. Then, you must make an active search. No finding it by chance. The link can usually be found on websites dealing with buying and selling, so auction websites, warehouse sites such as Amazon.com, but better chances come with lesser known sites as corporations usually delete the link when it surfaces, and even product review websites. The link will most likely be located in the comments section under an anonymous poster, or hidden within the website's interface, archives, or just the fine print. You'll know the link when you found it. Click on it, and it will probably redirect you through a few other websites first. The website itself varies in appearance. Some have described a nearly blank, bare bones site, while others say it was more decorated and stylized, with pictures usually revolving around barter and trade. One individual described it as a text written through JPEGs of letters, as though it was a ransom note. Though every single report shares the same basic features: a title reading, "Give a Little, Take a Little." 2 text boxes, one blank, one titled "Specifications," and address and zip code form, and a submit button. Now, once you arrive, you may place the name of any item you desire in the text box. There are some restrictions, though. 1. The item must be able to fit on your property. It can fit on your front porch, lawn, mailbox, or even your living room. 2. The item must exist. It cannot be a cure for cancer or a philosopher's stone. 3. The item cannot be living. 4. The item must be reasonable to transport and deliver, i.e., no asking for a piece of the sun. A good rule of thumb is that if it is not deliverable via a van or towing service, it is not viable for delivery. 5. The item must not be unique. You cannot ask for the original Mona Lisa. 6. The item cannot cause major disturbances. You cannot ask for the entirety of the contents of Fort Knox. Don't ask for stupid shit. So, knowing your parameters, enter your item and the address of delivery. Put any specifications about your delivery, or about the item in the specifications box. Once you are done, press Submit and exit the website. Then simply wait a few business days. Make sure to leave your door unlocked if you asked it to be delivered into your home, or the gate unlocked if you wanted it on your lawn. The item you requested will arrive, as long as you didn't ask for something not allowed by the above rules or made it impossible to deliver. But don't be surprised if something else goes missing, especially if it was of equal value as the thing you got. It could be a few dollars from your wallet, some jewelry, or even more expensive things like computers, TVs, and, in one extreme case, a car. It might take longer to happen if you ordered the item to a P.O. box. Don't try and stop it, and don't think it won't happen. You entered your address, remember? After all, it's give a little, take a little, right? And that's the end.
Well then.
I actually kind of like that. That could have been that had potential.
Yeah.
How about you, Mac? You got a new one?
Yeah, I got a new one. So this one, the other one was from Reddit, so it wasn't from crappypasta.com, so I didn't have a thing. This one is Irloch? I don't know. Bringing Madness. This one is labeled as Po Try Again and Undercooked Pasta. In bedroom, sitting all alone, the house an empty tomb. I thought I sat on highest throne, but I was in another's room. I thought I was a free-born man, could do just as I pleased. But eyes of yellow, oh, I ran, my heart began to seize. Face of beauty, but of death, haunting day and night. I feel her icy, labored breath. I feel her piercing sight. Only left with half a form, no legs to walk but floats. Her body ripped in two, it's torn, horror from her throat. She wants to bring me madness, and springs her shadow flock. They beg that I say yes to the beautiful, terrible Irloch. Credit to Riley Corliss Belzer.
I liked that. That wasn't crappy. That was actually really good.
Horror from her throat? What the fuck does that mean?
I mean,
it was a decently flowing poem.
Horror from her throat.
It was a good poem. Like,
I don't know. It felt kind of Englishy, if you know what I mean.
I mean, I get it. Oh shit. My candles just grew.
Flickered?
Yeah,
Grew?
well, no, not flickered. Like the flames grew and then went back down.
Oh yeah, that happens with candles.
Well, fair. But creepy shit's already happening to you, dude.
Hooray.
So you're in for a fun ride.
That's not even that creepy. That's just what candles do. It kind of flares a bit, smolders a bit, and flares, smolders. That's.
I mean, at least we're not playing the midnight game, okay?
Yeah, no, let's not. Okay, so
the fan was legit creepy, but the candles, like, don't make a mountain out of a molehill, okay?
Yeah. Okay, so now I have a new one for you guys called Hello Hotel.
My old friend.
God damn. Okay, here we go. This is under undercooked pasta. So here we go. There was a small, half-abandoned town. Hold up, let me set this up right. There's a small, half-abandoned town in the middle of Utah. Not sure where, though, but it's somewhere on the 84. I was driving to Florida to meet with a friend of mine and discuss a book we were going to write together. I don't like air travel. It makes me feel uneasy. I was passing through Utah on my way there, and I noticed I was running low on gas, and it was getting dark. I saw a town up ahead, so I continued to drive in hopes of getting a place to stay for the night and some gas. I noticed many of the buildings had been abandoned. The rest were in very poor shape. Some, I think, if you pushed the wall, it would fall over. The gas station was dirty and smelly, but I stopped. I had to get gas. So I parked, plugged the hose into my car, paid the attendant, and drove around to find a place to stay for the night. There was only one hotel. It looked like it belonged to an old Western movie. And the letters on it spelled out, "Hello, Hotel." But the O was very faded. It didn't look like a good hotel, but on the other hand, sleeping in my car was not really an option. So I went inside and looked around. The lobby wasn't actually too bad. There were carpets, tables, a chandelier, and a few paintings of Civil War officers. What really struck me was the manager. He sat behind his desk, looking like the advisor of a king or something. He had a monocle and a professional uniform on. He looked up and smiled at me. This isn't the kind of smile you'd expect from this kind of guy. It was more of a eerie, evil grin. "Good evening," he spoke to me in a deep voice. "Would you like a room?" I said yes, and he put down a roll where I could sign my name. I took a pen off the desk and began to sign my name. I noticed something odd. There were no other names on the sheet. I finished signing in, and he took the sheet and handed me a room key. "Room 66, he said bluntly, as he pointed to the stairs. As I walked through the halls looking for my room, I noticed there was no one else here. There were cobwebs on the ceiling, and I could tell from the thick dust on the floor no one else had been here for a long time. I began to feel uneasy about this, to say the least. I finally found my room, opened the door, and flipped on the light switch. It was normal looking enough. I set my bag down on the bed and took a shower, changed into some pajamas, and flopped onto the bed. Driving for nearly 24 hours is hard. I awoke to the sound of footsteps in the hall. These weren't normal footsteps. They sounded heavy, and they were fast. I looked at the clock. 11:15. I listened to the sound of the footsteps until it stopped right outside of my door. I wanted to investigate. I really did, but I was tired, so I just fell asleep again. I was awoken again by the sound of my door opening. I immediately sat up and looked around. Nothing. The door was still closed. No one around. Nothing. I glanced at the clock. 11:34. I yawned and flopped back on the bed. Even though I was tired, I began to question these strange noises. But I let it go and tried to fall asleep. But I couldn't. I had the most unsettling feeling that something or someone was in my room. And more importantly, it was watching me. I tried to close my eyes and forget it, but the feeling grew stronger. Suddenly, I heard a crash on the floor next to my bed. I darted up out of bed and flicked on the light switch. There was nothing wrong with anything. The room was still ordinary. Nothing had been disturbed. The clock said 11:50. I grabbed my bag and put on my coat and walked as fast as I could down to the lobby. I handed the manager my keys and walked out the door. He didn't even flinch. As I walked out, another person, a young girl, probably no more than 19 or 20, walked in. I said nothing, but I turned around as I walked to my car to take a last glance at the place. I don't know if it was my imagination, my tired condition, or a trick of the light, but I swear that the sign on the building said Hell Hotel. I slept in my car through the rest of the night. Woke up the next morning to see several police cars parked haphazardly around the hotel. I got out of my car and asked one of the policemen standing outside what was going on. He was pretty nice, and he told me, with a solemn expression, that a girl was found murdered in room 66. No evidence of the criminal was found. The autopsy reports revealed that she had died around midnight from what appeared to be 3 slash marks on her stomach. I looked up the hotel a few days after I got at my friend's place in Florida. Jesus, that was a mouthful. It appears that the hotel had a record of unsolved murders that all occurred at room 66 at midnight. And the victims all had 3 slashes in their stomach. That had the potential to be really good. Credit to Etudios.
Well then.
Yeah, I mean, that had the potential to be fucking amazing. So,
Well, unfortunately, it was not. It did definitely need a little more.
yeah, it needed a little bit more of
I can't
something.
really judge too bad because my writing sucks dick as well, but you know.
Oh yeah, that's something I forgot. Thank you, Mac. Later on in the stream, I am going to be reading the prologue to a book I am writing called Rise of the Elders. I've been writing it for a couple of years now, but I only have the prologue in like half of chapter 1.
Yeah, he's almost as lazy as I am. So.
Yeah, so
Look
look forward to that
book is gonna
later in
get
the
done.
stream.
You know, don't just. What I'm saying is, if he starts a crowdfunding campaign for it, don't expect the book to actually get done. He's probably just gonna have the money.
Oh, fuck you, Dick. No, like, I'm not going to start a crowdfunding campaign for it because I'm writing it on
obviously,
Google Docs.
God.
But, you know, I'm writing it on Google Docs, so that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I also have another book in production called Of Monsters and Men that I started recently. So it's oh, wow. Look at this candle, dude. This was a fresh candle.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Okay.
There are spiders in here.
Oh, lovely. So right now
So I don't care.
Right now we are waiting on Elf to get back because she is currently out doing a thing for
things.
Yeah,
doing
doing
a thing.
Yeah, the thing with the thing. You know, the thing. Anyway,
He doesn't get it. Shh.
Anyway, yeah. So, do you just want to go ahead and break the cycle?
Sure. Here's the third one. It is called Under Surveillance, and it is
Nice.
marked as undercooked pasta.
Well, I have returned.
Or not. Never mind, Mac. Fuck off. Anyway,
Sorry, I had to take my dog out.
I thought
Yeah,
you were
you're
gonna say
good.
I had to take a shit. That's where the first place my mind went to.
Oh, speaking of that thing, yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
I am going to go ahead and let you take it away, Elf, and I am going to go do a thing.
Okay, this one is called The False Reunion. The story that you are about to hear really happened to me on September 5th, 2012, at 3:40 a.m. About 4 months after my mother unexpectedly succumbed to a bout of pneumonia at the raw age of 45, I will never forget the time nor date of the horrifying experience for which I am about to share. My mother had always had numerous health issues in the years before her death. I was always bringing her to and from various doctor's appointments, treatment centers, and hospitals. I was happy and willing to do this because not only did I love her because she was my mother, I loved her because she was my best friend. Someone that I could talk to for hours and tell anything and everything to. The last time that I took her to the hospital on June 5th of 2012, I was in complete denial. I was in denial despite my mother complaining of how hard it was for her to breathe. I was in denial despite the fact that her normally beautiful, bright, and lively green eyes were dull, dark, and glazed. And I know now that I was in blinding denial when my mother turned to me as we were just arriving to the emergency room and said to me in a disturbingly labored whisper, "Amber, I'm really scared." I never fathomed that would be the final thing that she would say to me. I now know what someone looks like when they realize that they're about to die, and those final words and her petrified expression will haunt me forever. Honestly, the next couple of months for me following my mother's death were a blur, almost non-existent. The viewing, funeral, and condolences from friends, family, and strangers did not seem real or surreal, as weird as that sounds. I numbed my aching pain, as so many other grievers tend to. I drank a lot of alcohol. I ate opiates and benzos like Skittles, and I wallowed in my own self-pity and depression. Most days, my husband would come home to find all of the blinds drawn and me locked away in my bathroom, sometimes days at a time in complete darkness. My family let me grieve in my own way for a little while, and then decided that it was time to intervene. I'm grateful that they did, because I sometimes wonder how long I would have remained in that dark sort of limbo, being neither here nor there, simply wasting away into bitterness and grief. It was at the very beginning of September when I finally started to breathe again. I guess I was just starting the beginning stages of the healing process after losing someone so unexpectedly, after losing a piece of myself, which I knew and had come to accept I would never get back. During this time, my husband had to travel for business for a couple of days. He was very reluctant to leave me, but I reassured him that I would be fine. Anyways, I secretly wanted a little time to myself. I was excited to settle down that night with a bottle of Chez Blanc Chardonnay, a good book, and a scorching hot bath. After these much-needed indulgences, I decided that it was time to retire for the evening. It was, after all, already 2 a.m, and I remember having a slight yet bothersome headache. I hated going to bed, because it always seemed like as soon as I laid down, thoughts of her would begin to flood my brain. Her face, her voice, her laughter, her smile. Anything and everything having to do with her always tormented me at night. On this particular night, however, it seemed a lot worse than usual. I battled with myself as to whether I should pop one of my prescribed sleeping pills. I tossed and turned and tossed. That night, no matter what I did or how hard I prayed for peace just would not come. I still wonder, no, actually pray, that on that night I was actually asleep and that it was all just a horribly vivid nightmare. I try to justify my experience with these hopes, but I tell you, my friends, what happened that night seemed very, very real. I specifically remember looking at my bedside clock, which read 3:44 a.m., and wondering if ever I would actually fall asleep. I turned my attention away from the clock to the television, and in that moment began to smell something like a burnt match, sulfuric. which I thought odd. Before I began debating to myself whether I should get up to see where the smell was coming from, I began to have a very strange, almost pleasant, tingling sensation in my feet, lower legs, and thighs. This sensation began to travel up my pelvic area, lower abdomen, and chest. Seconds after questioning the smell and the physical sensations, my bedside alarm clock began to blare. 3:44, blinking at me furiously in bright red. This, of course, startled me, and as I reached over to turn off the alarm, I was literally pushed into my mattress with such a force that I was unable to move any part of my body. The mattress literally began to sink in around me as if I were as heavy as a block of cement. The worst part was that I could not even scream. I was paralyzed from head to toe. The only thing that I could move were my eyes, yet I could not close them. Suddenly, an even stranger feeling came over me. My entire body began to literally vibrate. I could even hear this vibration in my ears. The sound was almost deafening. Terrified, I looked around and then suddenly saw my mother. She was straddling my body, wearing a white hospital gown with little blue shapes all over it. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's the same gown at that any hospital provides to admitted patients. The very same type of gown she was wearing when the fluid in her lungs continued to build. The very gown she wore when she was removed from life support. And as silly as it sounds, this is the one thing I've always remembered about her death. Her final moments spent in that dirty fucking hospital gown. She was straddling me, but she was not facing me. She was facing away from me, in the opposite direction, facing my television, which was still on, just like it was before.
Kinky.
I could not see her face because her dark, curly brown hair hung loosely in a tangled mess, covering it up on all sides. On top of my TV, I could see the time on the table box clearly, proclaiming that it was 3:45 a.m. The span of 1 minute truly felt like an eternity. I knew without a doubt that whatever this was pure evil, and it was trying to impersonate my mother. The terror that I felt began to well up in my throat, yet I could not make a sound. The vibrations got stronger as it slowly began to turn its head, its neck cracking violently as it did so to face me. In my head, I began to say the Lord's Prayer and beg for whatever this thing was to leave me in the name of Jesus Christ. After repeating this several times in my head, there was a strange whooshing and popping noise, and the vibration ceased. I sprung up in bed, gasping for air and clutching my throat. Sweat and tears rolled down my face. Needless to say, I did not sleep at all that night, or for the next couple of weeks. I love and miss my mother dearly. I know that if she ever decided to come visit me in spirit, it would be a beautiful experience. That is why I know that whatever that thing was that came to visit me that night was not my mother at all. But I do know that it was pure evil. I can say this because I felt it. I felt the evil just like you can feel or touch any tangible object. It was there. I still have nightmares about this experience. I hope and pray that I never again have a false reunion.
Nice.
And whoever was it, you, Zambi, who said kinky?
Yes.
You startled the fuck out of me as I was reading.
Good. So I think Mac is still gone to do something or other. My candles look really, really fucking cool right now.
Honey, why are you on high alert, dog?
So, What the fuck?
While we're waiting, do you want to do an actual good pasta?
I might be living one.
Well, I mean, we already knew that.
No, I mean, so I've been sitting here through the whole story. Don't know if you can see it, but it turned back on.
Yeah, I could see it, and like the first time it was just flickering, like as you were reading.
Yeah, it turned back on.
Unplug it.
It's a ceiling fan. I can't unplug it.
Mm. Houses are weird, I guess. But
Shh. Can you hear that on stream?
no.
Sounds like scratching. Oh well. I'm just gonna ignore it. So yeah, sure. I can do a micro pasta.
Well, it's not necessarily a micropasta. This is one that I would need your help with because it's actually well written. One that I've narrated on my channel, by Barnabas Demos.
Oh well, I was just gonna read a micro pasta to save time, but sure. Go ahead. Send me the
Professional
link.
Differences.
We've read that before on stream.
Have we?
Yes, we have.
Well, we can always do it again.
But yeah, I have some new ones.
Oh, fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Mute your microphone. Enter your bed and prepare for scare. Have you ever taken acid? I doubt that you have, but I'm about to try it out in a moment for the first time in my life. I honestly think I'm entitled to it after the shitty life I've led. Call me what you will, but this is just the way I feel things have to go. It all started when my wife, Claudia, divorced me a month and a half ago. She meant the world to me, and the idea that she could even consider leaving me was alien in my mind. Then I found out about the affair she had had. A man who I had always considered a high school buddy of mine suddenly became the worst enemy I had ever known. I actually managed to get into a bar fight with that particular person, but what did that solve? Absolutely nothing. And all I got was a bloody nose and a broken arm for my troubles. That wasn't even the worst of it. What killed me was when she took the kids. That was the blow that destroyed my very life as I knew it. Both of my precious little children were torn from my loving arms to spend their entire lives with a cold-hearted woman that would never love them as I did. I take the acid quickly before I can change my mind, and then I wash it down with a shot of scotch, sorry. According to the internet, consuming hydrochloric acid is a very effective form of suicide.
Oh.
Sorry, I had to add that in there.
Dramatic effect, yeah.
Yeah, dramatic effect. Oh, and before you guys get all worried that I just sprayed like something in my mouth and swallowed that I shouldn't have, it's just spray candy. So
you don't spray candy? I have normal gummy worms and sour gummy worms and salt and pepper chips.
Cool. Salt and pepper here, salt and pepper. I don't know. My candle looks really, really fucking cool. And so does this one, now that I think about it.
fire, you idiot.
Huh?
Baka.
Oh no, it's just the hot wax, not the fire. Anyway, so Mac's still not back. I guess I can do another micropasta,
Yeah.
even though nobody's watching anymore.
Aren't they?
No, 0 viewers.
Oh well.
Eh.
It can devolve into a hangout stream. We can talk about D&D.
No, because I mean, people are still gonna watch it back. So here we go.
Fair.
Mute your microphone. Get into bed and get ready for Freddy. Actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and blow out the candles. Okay, had to make sure the ember actually went out.
Why are we blowing out candles?
Because
nice timing.
Yeah, nice timing, dude. Read your.
And you see, Zambi, now that your candles are out, you will seriously be living a creepypasta if they suddenly light back up.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, can you fucking imagine?
Oh yeah, by the way, Mac, that turned back on.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Welcome to the fucking Black Parade. Anyway, so are you going to read? Anyway,
I'll read my. Okay, so under surveillance, undercooked pasta, blah blah blah.
Yep.
Have you ever thought that maybe, just maybe, we're living in a world that's been controlled by one man, one leader, one human that controls everything that happens in this world? One man, or a few of them, that's been watching your constant moves, your actions, everything that you do, just like how things are in science fiction movies. What if all the things that happened in those movies are in fact chunks of our reality? Did you even notice that those people are watching you in every little things that you do? Have you ever noticed? Let me give you an example. Have you ever noticed the popcorn makers in the theater? Take a look at its bottom left side. I don't know if every single popcorn makers in this world had this sign, but in the cinema closest to my house, it has. You'll see the picture of an eye with a line that sounds like something along the line of, "We're watching how you make the popcorn," or something like that. I forgot. But in this case, you are all curious, just to check it out. Another example I'm going to give is one of the things that I found when I traveled to Singapore. Singaporeans would know what I'm talking about. The Happy Cows exhibit sometime back in May, located in places like Raffles Place, Orchard Road, Esplanade, etc. Just Google it. The problem with these happy cows isn't that with the wooden cows itself, but more to the small board box, barely noticeable amongst all the cute cows. But that small board box bear a picture of an eye, with words "Cows under surveillance" engraved to it. So what's this "we're watching you" and "under surveillance" thing? Have you ever noticed that some of the movies that we're watching bears a sign of an eye in the backgrounds? Or those gadgets we're using? Those eyes. One eye. What's the meaning to all of this? To those who are familiar to conspiracy theories, you should have known what I'm talking about here. No one escapes their surveillance. Even those actresses and actors that we adore so much have to sign a contract with them to gain their popularity. Before I left, I want to leave a crappy cliffhanger that will either mark this as a creepypasta or just a downright failure. Did you know that we are not the ones who got to choose the president or prime minister or queens and kings in our country? Yes, we voted. Yes, we gave out our voice. But whoever got the throne are caging you under their surveillance because, believe it or not, even before we voted for them, someone within that organization picks them up to be the next leader. They're not there because of our votes. They're there because someone had picked them right from the start. Credit to the Alder Wand.
Nice.
Nice.
Credit to the Elder Wand.
Yeah, I love doing that. I'm just like doing a serious reading over here. It's like credit the Alder Wand. I love the total English in this.
Yeah.
Did you even notice the people who are watching you in every little things that you do? Have you ever noticed?
Yeah.
I just enjoy that. There's so much, like, the words are usually fine, but for some reason the verb tense agreement is just so fucking, like, you couldn't possibly make those mistakes by accident. This was clearly part of the troll.
Oh yeah, obviously. So I did relight the candles, not that they didn't relight themselves. There we go. Spoopy.
I mean, why did you relight the candles if we were waiting to see if they relit themselves?
Oh, because I needed to do something. Anyway, so I guess that means it's back around to me for my final pasta.
Oh my god, this is so good. Go on.
Okay. This is called A Talk with God.
Oh boy.
The tagline is just what? So
what?
Exactly. All right. This is a true story. Believe what you will, but I was there. Spelled T-H-E-I-R.
Fuck me.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be beautiful right off the bat. All right.
It's gonna be one of those days.
Some call my story coincidence, but the facts don't add up that way. My life was going down the drain. I was stealing from my dad to get high. I was lying. I have a baby on the way, and all I could think was party it up. My life was going to hell, and I was the cause. It was late, and I was laying in bed trying to get to sleep, but I had this feeling. It grew stronger with every minute. The feeling of being watched. Now, I've always strangely attuned with being able to sense someone's presence, but this was different. It didn't feel right. It felt evil. No matter what I did, I couldn't shake it, even when I turned my light on. I began getting scared, and something told me to pray, so I knelt next to my bed, and I prayed, God, if you are here, show me. Give me a sign. Amen. Something told me to look at the time. It was 1:23 a.m., but that's now what was weird. I believe he meant to type not, so I'm going to go ahead and say that's not what was weird. It started getting weird when something told me to add the numbers with the date according to their order. I did, but I almost peed myself when they added up to 666. Then something told me to take the time and type it into Google as a Bible verse. So I pulled out my phone and went to Google. I typed in Bible verse followed by the time, and it brought up a verse completely different than what I had typed in. It said, "Ye thought I walked through the valley in the shadow of death. I will fear no evil, for the Lord is with me." Now this startled me and sent a chill down my spine like nothing I'd ever felt before, but the feeling of being watched was still ever so present. I took the time again and added it with the date and came up to 666 once again. And that feeling of being watched was growing greater and greater with every second. I took the time and put it in as a Bible verse again, and it gave me a completely different verse than the time once again. It said, "Accept me as your Lord and Savior." At this point, I was in tears. I prayed, Jesus, come into my heart. I accept you as my Lord and Savior. Amen. The feeling was starting to dwindle after I pray the prayer, but was still present. But I suddenly felt strong, and I spoke to whatever it was watching me. I told it that I am God's now, and you will never have me. With a blink of an eye, the feeling left, and I said, Lord, if you really are here, show me, touch me, give me a sign. I felt something warm touch my shoulder, as if someone had laid their hand on it. Then the warmth spread throughout my body from my shoulder. There really was no way to describe it except for it was a feeling of total peace. I prayed, God, why me? Why have you chosen to talk to me? I looked up at the time and added with the date, and they didn't come up to 666, which gave me the happiest feeling in the world to know that I had been saved from whatever it was that wanted my soul. I put the time into Google with the Bible verse as well, and once again it came up with a different verse. It said, I have humbled you, I have torn apart your house and made you reborn. Do not keep this gift to yourself, but spread the gift of life, for the day of the Lord is near. I prayed, if the day of the Lord is near, then how long do we have? I took the time and plugged it into Google again, and my phone died. It was plugged into the charger. It had no reason for this, so I went to my computer. I stayed up the entire night praying and talking with God. The morning came, and so did the time to go to school. I felt so afraid of what everybody will think. They'll call me crazy, so I prayed, Lord, show me a token so that my enemies may be ashamed, for they will know that the Lord is on my side. I pulled into the school parking lot and looked up. There was a small cloud that looked like a jet stream. To my amazement, a jet came out of nowhere and made a cross. My friend Bridget saw it and freaked when I told her my story. Shaken and sleep-deprived, I looked like a crackhead when I walked into the school counselor's office. I told her my story, and she told me that it was probably just some stress of being a new dad. And having to take care of my blind dad. So I asked her if she had a spare Bible I could have if she didn't mind. Then she said her son might have one, so she called him into her office. And he said he had one in his locker, so we went and got it. We went back into her office, and I started telling her about a verse that I had read. She stopped me halfway into it. She was taking all the bookmarks and stuff out of it, and said, "You're not going to believe this." I just lowered my head and said, "What?" She said, "I just opened this, and the first verse I saw was that one, and my son had underlined and highlighted it." All I could say was, "Do you believe me now?" She was so startled, she called my principal and my superintendent into the office to hear my story. Soon enough, it spread through the school, and I had people coming to me to hear my story. The main thing that I want to stress is, please, if you can, accept Jesus into your life, because his day is coming. And I want everyone to go to heaven. I'm not forcing anyone to believe, just suggesting. If you want to find me at chrisdude57@yahoo.com or at Facebook by my email or Chris Sims. So that that was
that was different.
Is it wrong when I kind of want to jokingly email him?
Oh my god.
I think you I think somebody just posted a message. I think somebody posted that. I think Chris Sims posted that as a way to get out the gospel of God or something. I don't think that was an actual creepypasta. I think that was him trying to convert
Absolutely
people.
not.
Yeah. It's
not
just
even creepy.
troll.
It doesn't even sound like it's pretending
Yeah.
to be creepy.
Uno momento, por favor. So, yes, Katie, go ahead.
Just put in the chat the email so I can troll him.
I don't remember the thing anymore, and he's gone.
Well, we'll wait until he comes back.
So I am here. Sorry.
Oh.
Put the email in the chat so I can troll him.
Let's not do that thing.
What, troll religious people?
Yeah, because I
If
mean,
you want to go ahead and seek that email out for yourself, we can't stop you. But
Nah.
I for one, am not going to get involved in stuff like that.
yeah, me neither. Because
It's just.
I mean, while I am not Christian myself, I get it. You know, people are searching out something to, you know.
Fair.
I'm agnostic atheist myself, but yeah, like, don't just do that.
So,
I mean, there's also the chance that he made up that fucking email for the
fair.
purpose.
So, what are we gonna do now? Do you guys want to switch to creepypastas and I can take it away?
Sure, but I don't have any to read.
That is fine. I can read micropasta real quick. And actually, how long have we been going? We've been going for about an hour. Yeah, for about an hour. So yeah, let's do some shit.
Yeah. I mean, you did ask if it. You did say it was going to be a slightly longer one, so.
Yeah,
but maybe he only meant by 7 minutes.
Just shut up, Mac. It usually goes for about an hour and a half. So,
yeah.
This is called The Final Film.
Dun, 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 dun.
Mute your microphones. Jump into bed. Grab your popcorn. And be ready to spoop your pants off. Ow. Shut up, Mac. Shut up, Mac. Anyway. I am the maker of over 23 snuff films. I shit you not. Hold on. Okay, so this is not the voice that I need to be doing for this story.
I have made over 23 snuff films.
Shut up. Okay, this is an actual creepypasta.
Shit.
Okay, here we go. I am the maker of over 23 snuff films. I shit you not. Now, I have been robbed of my youth, and I almost feel guilty for all the terrible things I've done. Almost. But then I remember just how profitable this business was, and then I regret nothing. You'd be surprised at how many people want the tapes that I used to make. All kinds of people, too. Young and old, fair and ugly, short and tall, male and female. I guess just about everyone has an animalistic side that they have to feed. So, in many of the movies, I was the man who was committing these dreadful deeds. I had a whole crew to back me up, and most of the time it was somebody else who was slowly cutting off the appendages of a middle-aged female we had managed to abduct, or severing the testicles of a little boy who was never seen again. But sometimes I just couldn't resist getting my hands dirty. The process just looked so interesting. All of what I had was spent far too quickly. I lived a briefly amazing life of drugs and prostitution before it all ran out. I was both a sex addict and a heroin addict. I was desperate to keep engaging in these activities, even as I lost my money and my sanity. As of today, the only things I possess are this camera and the knife in my jacket pocket. with which I have made so many quality films. I know that now it is my time to make a final motion picture. And once again, I am the star. Setting up the camcorder doesn't take long. Just put it down atop one of my many dumpsters in this alleyway. And before I know it, I am looking at myself in the viewfinder. I back up, making sure I am in the shot before taking out the knife that is in my pocket. It really is a beautiful thing. It's an Italian stiletto-style switchblade with a custom buck handle and a bayonet blade. I have used it plenty of times before, and today I will use it for the last time. I push the release button and 5 inches of chrome steel slide out with a satisfying click. I step forward and press the red button for the last time before lowering the blade to my own wrists. And that was the final film. Holy shit. That was fun to play. That was fun to voice act, honestly.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? I think I have been way too harsh on the way that you've styled yourself right now. It really fit this story.
Yeah.
I specifically commented,
Just fucking take that.
this reminds me how you can play creepy villains well.
Yeah.
I really
mean,
can.
I
You
like
had that sound down to a T, where it starts off seeming all right, but you slowly start to hear the insanity in it.
insane is my best quality. Anyway.
Yeah, mine too.
Anyway, so does anyone else have anything yet? No?
I have
Boop, boop,
my
maybe
own,
so?
not really a creepypasta. It's a short story that I had to write for a class, and I don't like how it ends, and it's kind of in the revision process and everything. So I'm just going to title it, like, maybe a pasta?
Okie dokie.
Log of Detective Moira Jacobs on the events of the mist. Monday, September 12th, 6:15 a.m. We found the first body today in the nearby park. His face was twisted in an expression of terror, and his skin was almost as white as snow.
Since it's in the revision process, can I give you a tip?
Yeah?
Instead of saying we found the first body today, say we found a body today.
Okay.
Because it sounds like it's like we found the first body today. Like, you know there's going to be more.
Okay.
So,
As the Emmy was examining the body, I swear I heard a whispered voice. Perfect. You are perfect. Those singular words sent chills down my spine. I glanced around the park, not noticing anyone standing near me. The park had been closed upon the discovery of the body, so couldn't have been someone passing by. So where did those words come from? Tuesday, September 20th, 3:45 p.m. As the investigation continued, more bodies appeared. They were scattered around this small town, some near the river houses, others in more public places, like the nearby schools or the jogging paths around town. Each body held the same twisted facial expression, and so far, the only apparent cause of death was a heart attack. Hell, some of the detectives even claim that the victims of this killer died of fear itself. I've talked to the families of each of the victims, at least twice now, to see if there were any connections between any of them. Anything that might connect the victims, even in the slightest way, and I found nothing. I guess my next step would be to take a look at their belongings to see if they owned anything even remotely similar. I doubted that this next route of investigation would even be worth looking into, but it still has to be done. I'm going to pause here and make a quick note for you guys. When I wrote this, it was like I had stayed up the entire night. So the reason why it's in the revision process is A, it's slightly cringy to me, and B,
Me too. Slightly cringy to me too.
Yeah. I'm totally revising this, so you guys, it's like crappy pasta, but it's a pasta nonetheless, a short story thing. Wednesday, September 21st, 8 p.m. This entry is late, but I've had a long day. I had to file a ton of paperwork, which took a few hours to process. By the time the paperwork was processed, I had the victim's personal effects to look through. It was 6 o'clock, and most of the detectives in the precinct were leaving. I think I'm the only one left here in the office, but I could be wrong. I've been looking through papers, books, and other small items for around 2 hours now, and I'm tired and I need some fresh air, so I'll be right back. 8:30 p.m. I headed from my desk out to the nearby patio area to get some fresh air, passing the break room on my way. The lights were on, and I smelled a fresh pot of coffee, which isn't all that unusual due to all of us thriving on caffeine. However, I don't remember starting a pot of coffee, much less leaving the light on. Then again, my desk is at the other end of the building, and this light gets left on all the time. So maybe one of my coworkers just forgot to tell me that they made coffee for me before they left. If it was Jacob who did this, I'm going to ask him why he didn't tell me before he left. Before I stepped out onto the patio, I turned to my left and headed into the break room to get myself a cup of coffee. I needed the caffeine, so I grabbed one of the many mugs we have available and poured myself a glass of the already made coffee. I stirred in 2 packs of sugar and some caramel-flavored creamer before taking myself and my coffee to the patio for some fresh air, clicking off the break room light as I left. The air felt refreshing, that cool evening breeze, helping wake me up a bit. Now I've pulled some long hours with investigations before. Each time I would take a short break for a breather or two out on the patio with a cup of coffee or two to help me get through what I needed to finish. But tonight felt different than most. I just had this feeling like I was being watched by someone or something in the darkness. After spending a few more minutes breathing in that cool night air and taking a few sips of hot coffee, I decided to head inside. I still had a lot of work to do, and I had a feeling that this would take me all night. Thursday, September 22nd, 12 p.m. I don't remember when I ended up falling asleep last night, but a fresh cup of coffee was sitting by my head when I jumped awake around 7 a.m. when I heard movement. The others in the precinct chuckled at the sight of my startled awakening. "Myra! Looks like you did some great work," came the voice of my partner, Jacob Hayes. I didn't look up at him, merely grab the cup of coffee and take a deep drink from it to wake me up. "Come on, Moira. You did manage to find a connection between our victims, didn't you? Or at least, that is what it looked like when we all walked in," he said. I looked up from my coffee at my partner, whose blue eyes seemed to shine with enjoyment. He was pointing towards the conference room a few feet away, where there were boards filled with the papers from the case and items lined up. Most of my night was a blur of looking into every piece of paper and the various small items that had been delivered to her, which I meant to put me, but, I was dead-ass tired, had been delivered to me. Shit, I lost the sentence. There it is. The previous evening. It looked like the lieutenant was in there looking over the materials that I had managed to gather. Soon enough, the lieutenant called me over to go over my findings. 1 p.m. It took about an hour to go over the minor connections I had found about most of the victims being on some type of medication for paranoia. And they all kept a journal with similar journal entries, both written and recorded. The thing that I found the most interesting about their journals that they all, at one point, noted hearing a whispered voice that seemed to be impossible when they were somewhere outside in the early morning when there was enough fog and mist that anything could be hiding. Honestly, that reminded me of the whispering I heard at the crime scene. I too have my log here, written and recorded, should anything happen to one of the copies. Monday, October 10th, 5 a.m. The investigation still has had little progress, but I've been hearing that voice again. Anytime I'm alone in the mist or fog, whatever, in the mornings, I hear that voice from the first crime scene. Occasionally feel breath on the back of my neck as well, and my fellow detectives have started noticing how jumpy I've been. If I don't shake this off in the next couple of weeks, I'll have to go see a psychiatrist and get myself on medication. Jacob has been acting odd as well, but that could just be my imagination as well. Luckily, everyone has been pulling later shifts with this case, and no major leads in who this killer is. Lately, everyone has been pulling later shifts with this case and no major leads in who this killer is. There is something odd, though. There have been no new bodies. 4 p.m. Tick-tock goes the clock on this investigation, said the voice in a sing-song voice, chilling me once again. But the voice was right. The lieutenant was already starting to give up hope on ever catching this killer. Maybe if I look at the evidence again, I'll find something that I missed before. 8:30 p.m. Once again, I'm the only one left at the office. I'm looking at the same evidence again to see if I missed anything. Once again, I ended up heading out to the patio area, still passing the break room, but this time I know I didn't start a pot of coffee, and I made sure the light was off as everyone was leaving. Yet, once again, the light was on and there was another fresh pot of coffee. Wait, did I see Jacob leave? I know that he said he had something he wanted to look into, but this mystery killer couldn't be my partner. I've known him for years. Or at least I think I have. When did he start working for the precinct? Monday, October 17th, 12 p.m. So, due to my paranoia last week, the lieutenant asked me to get on medication, and not wanting to be on suspension, I followed his lead. I was frantic and looked into the people I normally trust with my life. When I came in this morning, Jacob seemed to be smiling as if he had just won something or knew something that everyone else didn't. Unfortunately for me, the lieutenant closed the case of the missed killings. To be fair, the trail had gone cold for the most part, so before the files were put away, I took one last look at the paperworks, and I noticed a common name buried within everything. Jacob. Surely it wasn't my partner. It couldn't have been. But within the journals, they all mentioned Jacob. No last name. Well, Jacob is a common name, so without a last name, it surely isn't my Jacob. 7:30 p.m. Jacob asked me out to dinner. I've been stressed due to this investigation. Jacob figured that it'd be a nice way for me to relax after all the long nights I pulled trying to make connections that weren't there. However, I don't like the way he's smiling. But I have evidence to question him, even if it is circumstantial. Jacob Hayes, I'm taking you into custody to answer some questions about the missed killings. And that is the end of that cringy short story.
Honestly, I want more.
I know.
Sorry, did you say end? I think what you meant was stop, because it didn't really end at all.
Yeah, as I said, I had stayed up all night writing that.
Yeah.
And so I understand how cringeworthy it is.
Actually, I mean, it was cringeworthy at the beginning,
It's not
but
that
toward the
bad,
end.
really. Like a couple changes, and it'd be good.
Yeah. Like toward
That's
the
not
end,
very
was
much.
actually,
Like, I think
really
it's something
good.
truly cringy. It's way worse. That was it was an interesting idea, and you were kind of explaining everything that you needed to, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, for everyone who's going to come back and listen to it, I am going to be revising it from a different perspective, but still going into those logs. And here's how I want to start it.
No, keep it that way.
Well, I'm going to keep the log, but it's just I want to start it a slightly different way to add a bit more of the mystery vibe and kind of see if I can throw a spin on it. And I mean, I was very tempted to add something from a mystery logger into this, but at the time I was writing it, I couldn't think of it. But I could keep it the way it is, just adding a bit more at the end.
Yes, do that.
Detective Moira Jacobs has been missing for 3 days now. Her fellow detectives at the Wolfwater Police Department have been working around the clock to find any sort of lead. Click. Moira Jacobs is missing, but I know exactly where she is. I mean, that's all I have of the potential new start. Because when I tried to revise it, here's the cringe, in my opinion, cringe of how I attempted to take a revision of this. Detective Moira Jacobs has been missing for 3 days now. Her fellow detectives at the Wolfwater Police Department have been working around the clock to find any sort of lead. Click. I already knew the way the news story was going to end. I didn't need my latest catch to hear it. To be honest, I only had it on for the beginning of that news report anyway. I always enjoyed hearing the incompetence of the police force. It only helped to cement the cleverly constructed game I was playing in my head. To me, it was like chess. I make a move first, they counter, then I move again, and before you know it, the game was over.
Now you're starting to sound like a certain king I know from a certain web series that isn't out yet.
What?
Oh.
Oh. That's intriguing. And this is just the version, but before you know it, the game was over. But that's not important right now. I have better things on my mind. I have better things on my mind than the simplicity of how I'm getting away with everything. More importantly, it's how for the past 2 cycles I've had some freedom from the thing that started it all. A cycle for it is about 3 to 4 people, give or take. 3 to 4 people completely at its mercy, while I am merely the messenger in a way, the one who marks them for it to take away. Here I am, a 3rd cycle coming to a close, and I am free to do as I wish. From watching it, I know exactly what I needed to do, both to secure the victim and to not get caught. You see, the first cycle, when it had gone away, I was hesitant about what I was doing. But now I'm all on my own. And I can do anything I want. This last one of the cycle was currently tied to a chair in the basement of the abandoned house. It had chosen as the home base of the operation. To avoid any patterns, I had to change not only the looks of the person, but also the gender and occupation. Nothing seemed to connect any of them besides the extreme paranoia that I helped to create. Once they were on medication, it was easy to just make them disappear. Their absence wouldn't be noticed until the body was found. Moira Jacobs. My favorite victim so far. But that's a story for another time, isn't it? Now, it's the time I reveal to my latest subject exactly what happened to their predecessor. I had the radio playing just loud enough for them to hear in the other room, deprived of all sensory stimulation except for what I wanted them to hear. They wouldn't even hear my footsteps down the hallway, which is exactly what I wanted. I had full control over the situation. And that's all I have of that revision.
No, keep it the first way. I like the idea of it. I like the premise of it.
Yeah, I like the premise of it too. It's just I have to figure out a way to make some of the log entries not so cringy and maybe round it out with a log from
See, that's why you ask your good friend Zambi to help be an editor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, since we're in the sharing and caring mood of our own stories, this is the thing that I have been promising since the beginning of the stream, the beginning of my book.
Didn't you already do that in, the previous video on your channel?
Ah, but see, different book.
Ah.
He's writing 2 books at the same time because that
how ambitious
always works out.
Yeah, no, this one that I'm about to read to you guys is probably going to be the one that I don't end up finishing because of Monsters and Men is, just it's more interesting in my opinion. Plus, I feel like the story that in my own life, the story that I'm about to read is kind of played out, and you'll see what I mean in a minute, Elf.
Oh dear.
But this is called The Rise of the Elders.
Oh dear.
Yep. All right. The spark had been lit. Okay, hold up. The spark had been lit. Everything they had worked for had finally been achieved. What shall we call it? She asked, staring out over the vast emptiness of their creation. We shall call it the macrocosm, he replied wryly. And what shall we do with it? There is not much in our creation. The inquiry stirred a new concept that was born with the macrocosm. Emotion. Benevolence on a scale never again achieved. You are right, of course, he replied thoughtfully. After a moment of contemplation, he asked a simple question. What shall we do for it, that they don't destroy it? Shall we build an impenetrable barrier that we could not enter, or should we instead create a set of defenders so as to ward them off? This was the thought that was needed, it seemed, as when he said this, he snapped his fingers and a large, ornate platform appeared. It was golden, with arches that dwarfed the new galaxies in comparison. In the center, there was a pool of silver liquid. As he looked over this liquid, he spoke thusly. I create from all power a defender in my image, and you of yours. With these defenders will come an attribute, one that is hereby been unimagined. With the first defender, I create time. This being will be able to see all events in creation and control the order in which they progress. As he said this, the pool began to ripple and rise, and the liquid formed into a being with a likeness of himself. I imbue the ability of knowledge and speech upon you, as well as your attribute of time. I hereby give you the name Kronos. So is the will of the Supreme Consciousness. The new figure knelt on one knee, only to be corrected. No, Kronos. You are our equal, not our subordinate. Stand and greet us as such. And he did. Next, she went over to the pool of liquid and gazed in, speaking thusly. I create from our power a defender in my image. With this second defender, I create death. This being will have the ability to take the soul of anything created hereafter, once the physical form wastes away. As she spoke, the liquid rippled and rose, and once again formed a likeness of herself. I imbue you with the knowledge of speech and etiquette, as well as strong morals and virtues to help your judgment of righteousness, as well as your attribute of death. I hereby give you the name euthanasia. So is the will of the I. I bestow upon you both the tools of fairness and prosperity. As she said this, 2 long rods appeared, with long, curved blades. The scythes of fruition are yours to command as you wish. We also bestow unto you the knowledge to use the Genesis liquid as you see fit, as well as how to create more of it. This she spoke as she peered over the pool of silver liquid, now completely still. With this final act and testament, the 2 supreme beings disappeared, leaving the defenders to the newly created macrocosm. However, in the dark of the void, they were lurking, waiting, and plotting the destruction of all creation. So that was the end of the prologue for that book, and I have a little bit of chapter 1, but I'm not willing to read that because it just ends in a weird place.
Yeah. So basically, to explain to anyone who doesn't quite get it, this is basically Omniscience Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you're welcome, world.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Yeah. So
Jesus, don't ever. Okay, 1, don't ever say that again. 2, don't ever say that with that tone again. 3, do not ever say that with that tone, using that gesture ever again, especially when you look like that.
Oh man,
that was only like a quarter of a second, and it was the worst quarter of a second of my entire life.
Nice, gotta love that. But yeah, so that was the Rise of the Elders prologue. Now, if you guys want, feel free to leave a comment after this. Okay, why fuck? You know, if you guys want, at the end of this stream, to leave a comment telling me whether you want to hear more of Rise of the Elders or whether I should just can the project altogether. Feel free to do so. Also, if you guys want to, you know, help us out, we are currently doing all of this stuff with free technology and free, you know, well, I say free. This computer was not free and this microphone was not free, but I didn't pay for it. So,
and that's all that matters. You don't mind spending other people's money.
Yeah, exactly. No, but in all seriousness, I have a Patreon which will help everybody who is on my streams, everybody who's part of Project Narration, which is Mac and Cheese, as well as me, and you know.
By the way, he's not actually sharing any of this money with us.
That's because I haven't made any yet, Dick. So
sure.
I haven't, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, no. So the money that, if you guys decide to become patrons, it will go to help all of us get better new setups. Well, more Mac and Cheese to get better setups. So that way they can be on the same professional level as me. as I'm saying this through my grainy ass webcam.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Anyway, without further ado, guys, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. And, of course, now I need to be a YouTube whore. Feel free to subscribe. And when you do subscribe, feel free to click that little bell notification thing.
AKA the stupidest thing that ever existed. Why bother fixing the subscription button when you could just add another thing to click that doesn't even always work to begin with?
Exactly. So feel free to click the bell to stay notified for whenever I post more shit.
Like, comment, and subscribe. You know, that lovely YouTube shit.
Rate, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.
Okay, y'all are like taking my outro and like twisting it just enough to where it's not my outro.
No, you don't understand. We're not taking your outro. That is the most generic thing that any YouTuber has ever said, ever.
Yeah.
Well, my outro is rate, comment, subscribe, and keep slaying them zombies. Peace.
Okay, I mean the rate, comment, subscribe part. That's one of the most common things I saw back in 2009 was rate, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.
Yeah. Mine is, I hope you like the sound of my voice, and subscribe.
Well, anyway,
guys. I don't actually say that.
Max signing out, peace.
Okay, I'm gonna... Am I actually able to mute you guys? Yes. Yes, I am. I'm gonna mute you, and I'm gonna mute you. Okay, here we go. Now, without further ado, feel free... God damn it, Elf.
Boom! My back dummy!
Stop!
Okay, go.
Stop it. Stop it! Okay, here we go. Without further ado, yes, click that subscribe button, and click the notification bell right next to it to be notified whenever I post, which is going to start happening a lot more, I promise. And I will have Elf Queen as my, like, person. I'm not sure the real term for it, but the person who makes sure I get my shit done. Because she is real good at pestering me about doing shit. So, I will have her pester me about posting either every Saturday or Sunday. No, it'll be every Saturday for creepypastas, and then vlogs will come out randomly during the week. And then every Friday will be live streams. I promise, and I will make sure that Elf keeps me on track. So... without further ado, guys, rate, comment, subscribe. Unless there's any, comments or concerns from you two. I know I've muted you guys, but feel free to unmute at this point. I just needed to get that shit out.
I mean,
go to bed!
We can always make it interesting that, for me pestering you, anytime you don't follow the schedule, something happens. Like, you have to do a challenge or an internet challenge or attempt a ritual pasta or something.
Ooh, I like that idea. Okay, yeah, whenever I don't put out a creepypasta on Saturdays or do a live stream on Fridays, my Sunday post will be me doing a ritual pasta. And
you viewers can either choose the ritual pasta or I will choose for him. And hope it doesn't kill him.
That one. Anyway, guys, without further ado, rate, comment, subscribe, and keep slaying them zombies. Peace.